Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast.
Tomorrow is opening day.
This morning, didn't have a great hunt. Deer didn't move like usual.
We just got set up in the middle of this bedding thicket. We've been saving this spot for the rut. I think it's a nice buck.
Hits a 170.
That was money. I think he's down right over there, 10 yards.
Whitetail Legacy Podcast, bringing you back to the hunt and leaving a legacy.
That OG real dream.
Here we go. Another week, Whitetail Legacy Wednesday coming at you. We had Last Breath on this week. We're going to do back-to-back episodes with them because when they come in studio, we have too much fun, and they're two badass guys to cut them off with one episode.
Yep.
So this episode, we cover a lot. We had Grant and Garrett. We talk about how they started Last Breath, their season this year from 16 turkeys to antelope to dropping giant bucks.
Right off the get-go.
Yeah. So let's get into our sponsors, partners, and get into the good stuff. Start with a VIP veteran broadhead. I don't know if you guys had seen the hog video that's going around right now, but if you haven't, check out VIP's website. There's a guy who shoots a hog and it dies in like 8 seconds.
Yeah,
40
maybe
yards
goes
away.
10 yards.
It's so cool. So I think it's getting up there in views too, and pretty cool to see that broadhead really put in the work that quick and put an animal down. And homie's got the VIP veteran broadhead shout out.
This week's VIP veteran broadhead shout out is Greg Davis, and he is part of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and he started that job in 2009. So, Greg, everybody here at Whitetail Legacy wants to thank you for your service.
All right, let's get into ECW calls. We're going to be at Elmwood soon with them, and I think I'm going to really check out their duck and goose line while I'm there. That's something that I haven't really checked out. I have a ton of friends that are really getting into duck and goose hunting, and I think that he's making a really quality call. So I'd like to try out his short read and his long read calls and see what he has in that department.
I'm going to say, you're the guy to do it because I've no idea about anything.
Yeah, I'll check him out and see what he's got. Scent lock. I seen Average Hunter got a pack of Scent lock socks.
Did he?
In his Hunt Vault box. And he was saying that they're pretty nice. So
they are really nice.
I've been wearing mine.
I got a pair on right now. Again.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Dang, man, you're repping hard. One thing we shout it all the time, but the bag, man, that bag is solid. It's got literally every piece of camo that I own, and it's sitting right in the corner right now, all folded up, ready to go for next season. I know everything is in one spot, and it can hold everything. And my rangefinder's in the side box. My release is in the side box.
You need to keep an eyeball on that rangefinder.
Yeah, I got everything in there that I need. So it's nice to have all that in one spot, and with that bag, you're able to do that.
That is nice. I mean, just because when season rolls around, you're going to be geared up, ready to go, and you're just going to know where everything's at.
Yeah. And Ingram's Outdoor Obsession, he's getting real close on our bucks from this year, getting them done, kind of mocked up of mine. I got to tell you what he's going to do with yours that he told me that I forgot. I just remembered.
Oh. This is live.
He's got some cool ideas for yours to make it look a little better, and I'm pretty excited for that.
Oh, nice.
So that's exciting. When we release these mounts, people are going to be pretty blown away by the uniqueness of what Ingram is bringing to the table.
Oh yeah.
So let's get in with Last Breath, and let's talk about how it was born and where they're going from here. I see these guys going just like this podcast. We're going to be podcasting, and they're still going to be killing big deer.
Yeah, right.
10 years from now, so I hope you guys enjoy. All right, guys, here we go. We got the Last Breath boys in studio tonight. Thanks for coming out tonight, guys. We got Grant and Garrett. How you doing tonight, Grant?
Doing well. How are you, Cody?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for making the long drive. How far was it?
It's about 50 minutes.
50
for me.
minutes, wow.
In Coal Valley, so
Yeah.
it's south and then a little bit east.
All right, well, we got some studs in studio tonight. We got Garrett.
Hello.
How's it going, man?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
You were coming down from ice fishing, right? So it was on your way?
Correct.
Heck yeah, how'd you do?
Not so well. Good fishing, bad catching.
Yeah, okay. A lot of fun, though, right?
Yo, yeah.
All right, well, we're gonna cover a lot in this episode. First off, thanks for coming. We know you guys drove a long ways. We're kind of fanboys of you guys, so we appreciate you being here. In studio is always a blast. So I'm gonna put my headphones on. I can't do that.
I told you to just do it.
All right, let's do the origins of Last Breath. Let's start with Grant. You know, what's your current profession, and as a youth, what got you in the outdoors?
Okay, so right now I'm 25 years old and I teach 8th grade math in Moline. It's Woodrow Wilson Middle School. It's one of the 2 middle schools we have in Moline. There's about 1,000 kids there, and I teach pre-algebra and algebra. My origins, as far as I guess how I got here, I originally got interested in hunting from my Uncle Ty, and he was able to take me under his wing when I was about 9 years old and take me out on my first deer hunt. And so I didn't really know what the heck was going on. And a funny story about when he took me out, he had explained to me, obviously in retrospect this was a huge lie, but he had explained to me that the lower the number of shotgun, the less it kicks. So I got to take my first shot with the 12 gauge, thinking, "Oh yeah, this is the easy one to take." You know, I just got this 1 3-inch bullet here. I'm gonna load into this 12 gauge, and I'm gonna let her eat. I don't want to shoot a 22. That would be way too much kick for me, you know.
Yeah.
So he got me going, and that was the first shot I've ever taken out of a shotgun with a deer slug, and that knocked me on my ass pretty quick. So
Nice.
he was able to take me under his wing. I guess I'm different than a lot of people. Garrett and I kind of learned a little bit like trial by fire, I guess, kind of mostly on our own how to hunt. But my dad was never really a big hunter. He was a big fisherman, but I kind of got into the hunting side of things when I met Garrett in the beginning of when I was in high school, when I was about 14, 15, and then it kind of just took off from there. So that's, I guess, the origins of how I got into hunting and what I do.
Nice. All right, Garrett, what about you, brother?
Yeah, 28. I'm a key account manager for Blue Links. Long story short, we distribute wood. So nothing related to the outdoor industry. But I do love my job. It's very forgiving, and I really enjoy the people I work with. But as far as the outdoor origins go, it's not too different than most people, right? You always talk about a person, an elder that brings you up into it. Very similar like Grant's story. My grandfather and my dad were both outdoorsmen, but they weren't the diehards that I would consider myself and Grant to be today. You know, they enjoyed squirrel and rabbit hunting, and they loved fishing, but it wasn't a year-round absolute, this is what I'm going to do. It's on my mind all the time. So, you know, I got to dabble in it here and there with them, and my dad was a bow hunter. But again, you know, he was the type of guy that he was happy to knock down a deer, and he was successful. He didn't target deer, and I guess, you know, 15, 18 years ago is a lot different than it is now, even the market and industry. So, like Grant said, we decided to kind of take it by the horns, pun intended, when we were in high school, and it never stopped.
Yeah, when you guys started filming in high school too, right? You were really young.
Yep, really young. I think it's been in like a decade. That makes me feel old, and I don't think we should, because we're still pretty dang young. But yeah, it's been a long time.
That's a good spin into like the origin of Last Breath Media Company, right? So when we first started hunting, I'm being older than Grant. I had to drive everywhere, and both of our parents were kind of hesitant. You know, 2 young kids going out in the woods by themselves with weapons. Like, is this a good idea? You know, so we had to stick to the buddy rule. We couldn't split up, but wherever we went, we had to go together so that one of us would always be able to save the other one or whatever, right? So it all started with Dad's hand-me-down like VHS tape video camera. And I mean, you want to talk about some rough footage, man. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
It's almost hard to watch that stuff because you're like, what? And we're like, well, we're 16 and 13. But yeah, so we literally used to sit in double ladder stands or back to back against each other on the ground. I mean, we're talking the basic beginnings of where we are today.
And with them VHS recorders, you know, what you shoot is what you watch.
Yeah.
You ain't get rid of the first 3 seconds of you turning the camera on and, you know, getting situated.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever you shoot is what you watch on the tape.
Oh,
Yep.
Dude, I know looking back, like our cameras were so deer could hear them. 100%. Oh my goodness, yeah. When you'd zoom in, like, you know, and you'd see a deer's ear just kind of like turn.
Ooh, what's that?
Then we didn't know, but now we like, oh man, how did we get away with so much? So, but yeah, I mean, and then I guess as it progressed, you know, we didn't do much editing or production then. We were just recording it, bring it home, and watching it on TV.
How cool was that being that old? Like being 14 or 15, 16, just looking at what you guys were doing out there.
I think it's pretty cool just to, I don't know, Garrett and I always say, well, people ask us this, I guess. We probably get this question a couple times a year, like, what's your backup plan? What's your out? There's not going to be like an out. I think we're going to continue to do this till most likely we neither of us can walk or hunt anymore. So we've got quite a few years left before that happens. And just to be able to share that experience with somebody that's like a non-hunter, or to explain why it means so much, and to share that memory and how it all happened live with your family, people that you care about. That's why we do it and got into doing this in the first place. You know, like I said, my family, my immediate family, my mother, father, and sister, none of them are hunters. So to be able to take it back to them and say, this is literally what happened right behind our house here in our woods 30 minutes ago. What? There's bucks that live back there? That's awesome. You know, and to be able to share that with them is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I was able to show my 2-year-old my hunt this year, or 3-year-old my hunt this year. And through the editing process, well, he thinks he found the deer, right? Mm-hmm. So he called me out because he's seen me go to the deer. And then he was like, you found it without me? I was like, no. That was after. So just being able to share it with him is cool, like you're saying. Being able to share it. That's why we always say, if you want to get into filming, try it out, see if it's for you. And if you do it for yourself, it's rewarding. And instead of, if you don't want to release anything, it's still rewarding to be able to have those memories. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, a good deer hunting story gets stretched a little bit. If you're not stretching it, you're not telling it right. But to be able to, you know, have the footage to, you know, show people, be like, no, he really did this, or, you know, one of them crazy nights out, you know, it's just cool to look back on and be like, this is how awesome it was.
But it's funny how it's changed. Like, I find myself now more than I guess being happy with the experience. We're rolling through footage and I'm analyzing the shots. It's changed so much. I totally get what you're saying, and maybe that's something that we need to kind of look back and understand. When we started, we were just happy to get footage. I mean, anything, and we'd plug it in and enjoy it. And now, you know, you always got to be your hardest critic. But
yeah,
for sure.
I don't know. It's
I think
definitely
you guys
evolved.
are just like us, man. Anything that you get or do, you're going to be like, wow, man, it could be better. You know what I mean? It can be better. And that's what makes you better. Like I say all the time on this podcast, when you're satisfied, you're done. Just hang it up because you're going to be there stuck. If you're not satisfied, you're always going to be, you know, getting a better shot or a different angle or better equipment or something, and you're always going to get better. With just being like, well, this is good. We got it. Then you're done.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, look at us 2 years ago to have what we got now. We'd have been like,
terrible.
we'd have been stoked.
Yeah.
But now we're buying new cameras, buying new lenses. I mean,
it's a vicious cycle, man.
It is.
Successful people are never satisfied.
Yeah.
And you're hitting it on the head. If it's not the shot, it's the equipment. If it's not the equipment, it's the animal. If it's not the animal, it's your following. I mean, it's a never ending.
It's never ending. You always. I call homie 3 times a day, like, man, we need to do this. We need to do this. We need to do this. But
half the shit I can't do.
I need you to do that. Yeah, I can't do that. Well, we need to find someone that can.
So like, well, that costs money.
Yeah. A lot.
So let's talk about rebranding. You guys were Jag, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the sticker's still at McDonald's, man. I still see it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I drive through there. I'm like, yes,
I know-
still holding strong.
I know when Jesse goes to McDonald's, I get a Snapchat of it.
We still own that domain, so we're winning. But I'll tie into it and you can finish up. So JAG was an acronym. I mean, this started in high school, and in high school it was like the JAG boys always run around. It was Jake Wiedemeyer, Aaron Haas, Grant, and myself. And we were literally bow fishing in a 14-foot fiberglass boat on the river for the jumping Asian carp, We were like, what are we going to call ourselves? And that we come up with that. Well, several years down the road, a little bit of marketing and graphic design experience, we understand it's time to modernize ourselves. And then Last Breath came to fruition. We had some personnel change, and the acronym and the logo just wasn't quite what we thought was fitting.
Yeah, so I guess the way we explain it to people when they look at our emblem, it's not really indicative of anything outdoorsy. It could be a women's perfume company logo. It could be an outdoor tent logo. It could be a fisheries logo. It's kind of modern and a little bit different for the industry, if you will. I think like a lot of the industry right now is something dealing with a bow, something dealing with a broadhead, something deal with an antler, or potentially a skull, where we said, okay, let's rebrand. Let's make something very clean. Let's make it able to be put upon shirts, hats, anything we really want to. And I guess we explained to people like Nike. Exactly why is Nike the swoosh? I don't know, but it is. And everybody realizes that Nike's emblem is the swoosh. So we just decided, you know what, we're going to do something a little different, make it a little bit more clean, make it modern, because that's kind of what we want our brand to be at the end of the day, is crisp, clean imagery, clean videography, and share that with our fans. So that's, I guess, the reason that we went with that logo.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's clean, and it describes you guys in a nutshell. I mean, everything you do is professional and super clean. I mean, we look at our stuff, we're like, oh my God, dude. We can't compare it right now. It's just it's not in there.
You got to
So
own what
put
you
yourself
are.
down.
yeah. And we're doing it our own way, but like I said, it showcases who you guys are as people, professional, and as a company, and what you guys do. You're super professional, super nice, and everything you do is clean, work-wise, I
appreciate that.
I think
Thank
your
you.
logo represents that, and your shirts and stuff that came out this year, those are sweet too, man.
Thanks, man.
We need
Thank
to get
you.
on those. I don't know what we've been doing
We
here.
should have brought some. I don't know why we didn't. We'll take your sizes today.
But getting back to the logo, when you guys leave here, your logo's on my truck window,
Oh,
but I don't have a Last Breath under the bottom.
that's okay.
So,
People think he's selling vacuum cleaners.
Yeah.
some Matter, I think it was Matt, seen me at Walmart, and he texted me and said, hey, are you at Walmart? I said, yeah. And then, so when I went out, I seen his, and it had Last Breath under the bottom.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, shit. Like, I don't have the Last Breath part because I didn't see it on the sticker.
Oh no,
I was like,
dude!
oh, man, I blew
Hopefully,
that.
in time, it's strong enough. We don't need to have that underneath, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
like Grant was saying, sometimes I feel like a lot of individuals or teams in the outdoor industry, which is very small, people think it's just huge, vast, never-ending thing. I mean, we started looking, like he said, at Chevy and Nike. What are those? Those logos have nothing indicative of an automaker or a clothing line. Some of the strongest, most successful companies and brands out there, they have something unique and it works. And that's what we went for. So don't feel bad. Hopefully one day we don't need the name right underneath it.
Yeah.
So what's Last Breath's direction from here on out?
Take it off, Rocket Man.
Okay, so right now we're looking at several different things. Number one being local television broadcasting on Channel 6 and Channel 8 out of the Quad City, so it'd be KWQC. That'd be a primary direction that we want to go on local advertising. So we want to build a stronger sense of community within and amongst the hunters that we share the same demographic, the same location in Illinois, and the same places where we live, grow up, and hunt. So that's our first objective as of right now. And then moving forward, We really want to aggressively grow our YouTube channel. So right now there are a couple people that I think are doing a very, very, very good job of marketing their YouTube channel, and they're becoming titans on YouTube. And that's, I think at the end of the day, YouTube's kind of a measuring stick for how much awareness your brand has. Because, like Waypoint TV, Carbon TV, the Outdoor Channel, the Pursuit Channel, most of those numbers kind of go unseen. Nobody knows if Lee and Tiffany got 1 view last night on episode 5 of season 11 or whatever they're on, or 250,000. Now, obviously it's not 1, it's much higher than that. It's astronomically how many eyes are watching their stuff. But the point I'm making is YouTube is kind of like, okay, I'm pulling this up. Holy crap, these guys have 502,000 views on this video. That's insane. I'm going to take a look at this. So we're really trying to fuel the YouTube jet right now. So we're constantly trying to think of ways to grow our following, to maintain the subscribers we have, to keep them interested, and coming up with new schemes to keep those followers engaged. So lots of YouTube channels kind of do one dump of content. When we feel like that steady drip of content is highly beneficial. Like we were talking about before we started this podcast, video is a fickle thing, because if we were able to do 1 week turnaround on all of our video, and let's say that Garrett shoots Josh October, what was it, the 11th, and all of a sudden on October 20th everybody can go and watch Josh. Now that would be awesome, but I just don't have the time to do that with my work schedule, and because that's during hunting season. Right. So that steady drip of content, like a podcast, is extremely valuable. So right now we're trying to think of ways, and we have some ways to do that in the future, of coming up with that steady flow of content, so that way our viewers are always getting something new, and hopefully something we'll be proud to put our name and brand on. So that's, I guess, on the future of video, what's in store for us.
Yeah, I think YouTube's huge. You go on YouTube, there's just a vast amount, but what is going to be cool for you guys is when you go on YouTube, it's like there's almost like a YouTube style, right? And you guys don't fit it. So I think when you guys are heavily on YouTube and people find you, they're going to be like, okay, this is the legit stuff, right? This is the good stuff. And everything else is the people that are following the YouTube algorithm or whatever, trying to hit that maximum amount of time to get the most ad views. And you guys aren't doing that. You're keeping it clean, you're telling the story, and you're getting out. Which I think when people see that, they're going to be like, this is much better than watching a guy for 30 minutes and he kills 1 deer and there's 75 interviews,
right?
Sure.
But that's what's popular right now. There's a lot of brands that are doing that, and it's working well for them, But me and homie watch it, and I'm like, I don't understand how they have so many views, but
right?
It blows me away,
Yep.
and we're trying to keep it as short as possible. That's just us, because we're new. We know our quality isn't there, so we don't want people to be like, okay, 4 minutes in, we're bored, and then you miss the rest of the story.
Right.
Sure.
And I feel like with them, they're getting the views, but I don't know how long people are hanging around. When I watch something, I'm like, skip. Let's get to the good stuff.
Right.
With you guys, it's always good stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Keeping you engaging. You're out of focus. You're in focus. Here's a drone shot. The transition shots, and people are just like, we're walking to the stand. We're talking about hunting deer. Okay, now it's the next day. We're talking about hunting deer. And I'm just like, man, I can't watch this, but that's what's doing well. So I think once people find your YouTube, it's going to explode. And I was just on there a few days ago when I messaged you.
Yeah.
And the amount of content that you guys have on there is incredible. You guys have a ton of content. And did you just push on that recently? Did you just push all that content on there recently? Or yeah.
So it's been about 4 months ago that we dropped all of our past seasons. So all of our Stinger season, and then our 4 seasons that we have live now on Carbon TV, we pushed them live onto there. So we thought, YouTube's a forefront, and we want to aggressively try to grow this. And one of the demographic ages that we're lacking in right now is that 35 to 60. And there's a lot of people in that age bracket that are on YouTube right now wanting to look for content. And so we thought, this is an untapped forefront here. Once we find out the right ticket, this is gonna really grow wings and start flying. So
yeah. We were looking at ours today, and from is it 20? It's 20 to 31, and that's 63% of our following is 20 to 31.
Yep.
and that's the age that is. Or it's 24 to 31. It's 24 to 31. That's what's really hitting with us. So probably the same thing for you guys. But like you said, YouTube, I mean, it's been around for a long time. People know
it's familiar.
that they can get easy, quick content
Correct.
right there. So I think you guys are doing the right thing going to YouTube, and you guys are going to be successful because you're successful.
I would say, and one thing about you guys is you could watch any episode and get the feel for how probably every other episode is going to be as far as quality goes. Us, you're probably going to see one episode and be like, damn, that was awesome. And then you go to the next one and be like,
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, all your guys' quality and every video's right there, bringing a new person into the spotlight, and I mean, that's cool. Everybody gets in there.
Yeah. I mean, the way Grant edits is pretty unique. You know, it's all outlined, it's all structured. A couple things that I think he does unique is that he targets he literally will write out key emotions that he wants people to feel. So when you watch our episodes, it's not just like you're saying, Cody, the cut and dry A, B, C, D deer hunt. I mean, we're trying to make you smile and you don't even realize you are. Like the video ends and you feel good.
Yeah.
Or the video ends and you feel that pit in your stomach when, you know, that bad moment happened or something. And that transfer of emotion is really
what gets everybody coming
back.
back.
But it's not an easy task.
It's hard.
It takes a lot of work behind the camera and even more work behind the editing suite.
Yeah, and that's what we figured out this year. You have to film. You have to figure out what you want to do and then film that way for that story the whole year.
Yeah,
to be
because
able
you
to
can't
tell
fake
correctly.
it. I mean, there's a lot of shows that go, you know, and we've worked with them and we've done help filming and stuff, and they go do all these retakes or these fill-ins for they get the kill, and then it's like, well, we got to backtrack. And you can do that, but it's scripted, it's monotone, that you can't fake the real deal. Like when you got you can't fake that.
No.
I mean, as much as you want to try,
I cannot fake what
we're deer hunters. We're not actors, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what we try to do, and Grant does
You do. You do an awesome job, man. Yeah, rockstar job.
I miss Cody's fastest 60-yard sprint. Other than that, we got it all.
We got about like 3 seconds. I'm out of the tree, and then I'm on a foot. Like I seen the inside kicker once I got on the ground, and I was like, "Oh, it's him." Because I told homie, I was like, "It's not him," just because I didn't want to think about it. But then he got there, I'm like, "Is it him?" Because he's on the ground. I'm like, "Is it him?" And he's like, "Oh, it's pretty heavy."
I was like, "There's no other deer that's that heavy walking around."
So we kind of covered your niche already.
Yeah.
But do you want to go dive into a little more of that, or?
No, I think we're good.
I think we're good.
Let's recap the season.
Yeah, let's recap the season. So I was following your guys' snap story. I mean, you guys are some straight killers, man. I'm like, oh, there's another turkey. Oh, there's an antelope. That's unexpected. I'm like, okay, they all shot deer in October. I'm like, man, these guys are crushing it. But let's get into the turkeys, man. How many birds did you guys kill this year?
This year we killed 16 birds.
You sure it ain't frozen?
And
That's good.
All right.
Yeah, as much as we love deer hunt, I mean, we love it all, right? But turkey hunting, especially for us, I mean, it's such a good time. It's that interaction, and I mean, we're usually we do a good job at it as far as harvesting our birds. And so this year we did this last year. We really excelled. We went to South Dakota. We hunted with some ewes this season, got some people their first birds, and that was super special. And then let alone, we capitalized on the farms we have to hunt here in Illinois. So you're allowed 3 turkeys, which is kind of unique, and we hammered them. It was a fun spring.
Yeah, I think we talking about turkey. Homie loves turkey hunting. I've shot a ton of turkeys, so I'm just kind of like at the point where I'm burnt out. But I feel what you're saying. It's less stressful than deer hunting to me, right?
Yeah.
It's a turkey, right? So here comes a turkey. It's not, well, I got to pass this one or whatever. It's
Right,
a turkey.
right.
So it's less stressful.
Everyone is a trophy.
Yeah, it's less stressful to me because like deer season, it's not like I got to get it done so I look good or whatever. I got to personally get it done for myself, right? Because if I didn't get it done, I'm a failure to myself. That's how I look at it. And homie is the same way somewhat, but he thinks I'm harder on myself than him, but whatever.
For sure.
But turkeys are awesome. Homie loves them.
Dude.
But I just don't. I mean, I just don't get jacked like a deer. And I say that all the time, but I'm going this year. I'm taking my wife, get her first bird. I'm gonna try to get mine another one, and then homie's gonna try to get one. I don't know how many years it's been since he shot one. It's been a while.
It's been 2 years, but it was a Jake, so
It's all right.
it counts.
Still
Oh,
counts.
yeah.
I'm counting it.
But I get what you're saying, Cody, and I will agree 100%. Harvesting a tom has no comparison to that target buck that you've patterned and watched grow up. You've got history with. I mean, that's a completely different feeling and an achievement. The thing that we enjoy about turkey hunting is, like you said, it's camaraderie. You don't have to worry about wind. They're gobbling at you. Usually the action is really, really intense. You know, they're bum rushing the decoys. If you ever reaped a turkey,
He tried this year.
oh man, I mean, so Logan, my wife, she did it for the first time this year. Now I got to be right there with her when it happened. I mean, these things don't happen with deer hunting. As much as we want to put it on a pedestal, it's educated
It's slow,
ambushing,
man.
right?
It's slow.
You know, and you do everything you can to be right, and then when Grant will say this more times than not, you get to that 60th hunt of the year.
Yeah.
it's wearing
It's
on
hard,
you,
man. You're like, I'm never gonna get it done. That's what you feel like. You're like, I might as well be sitting on the couch because it's not gonna happen.
Yep. So it's just nice, and it comes at the perfect time. You know, spring and turkey season is just that high intensity, high impact, high success.
And you've been wanting to hunt something for months,
Right.
You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
like, yes, I can go kill something finally. So yeah.
But you don't feel as bad taking a nap either with that.
No.
And that,
You don't,
because the
you don't
sun's
feel like
warm.
you don't
yeah,
feel like
the
you're gonna
sun's
miss
warm.
anything.
Yeah,
Like if
yeah.
you take a nap out there, you're like, man, 160 is gonna walk by. I'm gonna miss it. You know, sleeping. Here, you're like, it's just a turkey. You know, I got it. So then you guys snuck this. Did you guys have the Colorado antelope hunt planned, or did you guys just like, we're going to Colorado?
So it was actually Grant had set it up, and Jeff for my bachelor party.
Oh,
so
man.
They
wow.
gave me an idea that was happening, so I get ready. But we didn't really advertise or boast it. So
No.
but that was again another trip that sometimes you need those types of hunts, right?
Yeah.
We hunt them with a rifle. Both Grant and I and Jesse, Logan have hunted them with a bow and arrow, and they are the hardest. I'm not kidding. The hardest animal to kill with a bow and arrow, spot and stalk,
That's tough.
than anything. So the rifle hunt, it was, it's still a hunt, but you have, especially with us being real, we hardly ever get to hunt with a rifle unless we're hunting for song dogs. So it was nice. It was a confidence booster. It was 3 up, 3 down, all great goats. So it was a ton of fun.
Yeah, it's I think one thing that I really pride ourselves on, I guess, doing is I don't ever want to be the outdoorsman that like pigeonholes myself into one thing or another, one species or another, one weapon or another. I think whatever it takes to go and get it done, that's what I'm willing to do. I mean, I've never shot a Boone and Crockett class whitetail yet, but I would imagine it would feel pretty dang good killing one with a gun just as much it would be with a bow. And now
It does.
I think there's that there's that intimacy of killing it with a bow, but I don't want to handicap myself, and I also want to do everything that I can to be successful and to have a great time in the outdoors. And I feel like any outdoorsman, regardless of where they're at mentally with hunting, I feel like the reason that we do it is for that taste of success personally. I mean, I respect the people that go out there year in and year out and are doing it for the enjoyment of nature, if you will, the connection with nature. But to a point, if I've sat in a tree for 100 hunts and now it's January 1st and I've been whitetail hunting the whole time, I would really like to kill something. I do not, there's only so many ways to record like a slow motion leaf in and out of focus. I mean, at some point people want to see you get it done, and I myself as the hunter, I also want to have that feeling too, and I feel like that's kind of the reason that we do it, I guess. And I don't know if that's right or wrong, and it's something I think about myself all the time. But to have an antelope hunt where we can go out and Jeff, Garrett, and I, we practice the week leading up every day after work, after school, and using our rifle, getting our stuff all sighted in and square, learning our MOA clicks, stuff like that, to the point where we would be lethal and fast and deadly out there when we hit the ground running. And that's what we did, and it was a great feeling comparatively to like seeing them with a bow, because that 200-yard mark with a bow, it's like, okay, we're getting there. And that 150-yard mark's like, okay, they're watching us now.
Right.
How do we get to 50 and get an ethical archery shot on this antelope? I mean, I think the last time we were out there spotting stock with our bows, I think he and I, over the course of 8 days, got within killable distance of a bow 4 times, I would say, in 8 days. And
I think it's important.
But
we got within shooting distance 4 times,
yeah.
but shot opportunity was
right.
a 1 time, which you harvested your goat. So yeah, like what Grant said. I mean, I would say it's one of the biggest controversies in our industry right now. There's a lot of conflict, but one of them is like the holier art thou, I'm out here for nature factor, and then the people who are killers. And I don't want to say that it sounds sadistic, but like it's like a game, right? You play to win, and you, like you said, you're hard on yourself. You want to get it done. I mean, I truly enjoy the outdoors. I absolutely love it. I mean, I wouldn't be out there all the time if I didn't. But when it's deer season, I'm there to kill a deer.
Yeah.
And when it's turkey, I'm there to kill a turkey. And I don't want to sound like some really red-eyed, bloodthirsty outdoorsman here, but that's why we do it.
That's what we do, yeah.
Right. If I want to enjoy nature, I'd go to Estes Park for a week in Colorado and just take it all in. But if I go to Colorado, I'm going to have a tag in my pocket. You know what I mean? So
just like when we started with the origins, you all go through that stage where you're not very successful when you're young, right? You don't kill a lot of deer, and you hunt a lot because you got a lot of free time. Just like us, you get out of school, you go hunt every day you can, right? And you're probably not playing the wind, you're not playing scent control.
Oh, yeah.
You're just going hunting, right? So you get that nature, and then eventually you're like, okay, now I want to step up to where maybe I only want to kill a buck, and and now I want to kill an 8-pointer, or now I want to kill a big deer, or a mature deer, whatever people say. But that's how I think it. When people say, "Well, I go out there for nature," I'm like, yeah, I was at that stage at one time, and I'm still there, and I love every second of it. Most of the time, when it's cold, and you're on, your 150th hour in stand, you're like, okay. I'm done, man. I'm done. This ain't gonna happen. It gets really hard, right?
Yep. It's a mental grind.
Just like you're saying, the industry. I think there's a lot of the industry like they're only with bow hunting, or they're not. Right. They're in bow hunter, or they're not. And some of them are even like, well, muzzleloader. That's okay. But I'm like, it's a gun, right? So it's all the same thing.
Who cares? You're doing the same thing.
That's what me and homie say. If I wouldn't have had a gun in the stand when Mr. Freeze came in, he would have been 35 yards?
A little bit farther. He'd have been about 45, kind of uphill. I mean...
a hard shot with archery equipment.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He was uphill, and it would have been a hard shot with archery equipment. And I took the advantage of taking a gun, and I get a lot of crap for taking them with a gun. People say, well, you shot it with a gun. I'm like, or you're more of a gun hunter. I'm like, if a 190 comes in on you and you got a gun and a bow in your stand,
right?
You're a man if you grab that bow and you're like, I'm gonna wait for him to get into bow range. Or if he's at 55, 60 yards where I shot him and you shoot him with a gun, I can't.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of jealousy in this industry, dude.
So much,
and in social media, ton of keyboard warriors out there.
Yeah,
you got to enjoy it. I'll tell you this much right now. Here's a fact: he's gonna look just as good on the wall, whether you killed him with a stick, a bow, a rock, or a gun. He's gonna look just as good, man.
Yeah,
and that memory's gonna be just as vibrant.
It is.
So
definitely
don't let him devalue that.
If you would have got him with a spear, we could have like mounted a mannequin spear in him.
Yeah, there you go.
We need more room in the studio.
But you never would have been able to get endorsed by Under Armour. So.
Yeah, that's true. That'd have been out. But yeah, just like you guys, we're for all types of hunting. If you want to get out there and kill them with a crossbow, bow, spear, rifle, whatever, I go Missouri rifle hunting every year, right? And I passed a couple small bucks, decent bucks. My grandpa shot a doe. I was able to get that on film. It's the only film that I have ever hunting with my grandpa my whole entire life, and I got to save it, right? So that's special to me. And people were like, "Well, it's a rifle." And I was telling homie, like, if we go down there and we're going to try to dedicate some days down there, because there's some nice deer on the farm, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's some, it's southern Missouri, but there's some really nice mature deer there. And I feel like, I was telling him, if you can see it,
You can kill it.
You can kill it. Like
Yeah.
with my 270, I'm really comfortable to 250, 300. I'm very comfortable with that
Right.
range, right? So if you can see it and everything, I mean, homie, see my footage. I mean, 100 yards is about it, right? 150 yards, and then it's timber, it's thick. If you're hunting on a field, CRP or whatever, 100 yards is about it. So if you see it, it's dead. So it's a different type of hunting, but it's still hunting in general, right? And I'm gonna take homie. You've never hunted with a rifle.
No.
I'm gonna try to get him to come down there. He had a baby during the time that he was supposed to come rifle hunting with
His
me
wife
this year.
did.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I would have whisked out and not pushed it out.
You stay in there, man. I'm going rifle hunting. So
That's awesome. I hope you get one, homie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna try it out, and it'll be something new, something different. I'm not sure where my standards are gonna be at.
Would you have shot the buck I passed?
No.
It's pretty small.
So I'm excited about it, and I hope we can get down there and kind of do what you did this year, and then kind of do our own thing.
It's a lot of fun.
And,
My grandma
yeah.
cooks food
Awesome.
She don't get to cook for people, so it's like she's trying to fatten you up.
Oh yeah, it's like the
Breakfast.
Jewish mother. Manja.
Yeah, breakfast and then supper. You're like, this is like 95 people's worth of food. She's like, just keep eating. Just keep eating.
You're on your fourth plate. Did you get enough?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, antelope hunting, to get back to where we were at.
Yeah.
I mean, that is super cool. When you guys are out there, I'm like, man, they were just dropping them. And in my mind, it didn't even register like rifle bow. I was just like, man, these guys are getting it done. That's what I kept thinking. I'm like, man, I want to go shoot an antelope. That's what I'm thinking.
We got a connection, man. If you ever want to go,
you motivated me to be like, man, we could do that.
It's an obtainable hunt too.
Yeah.
And like one of the things, like Grant was saying, so Nikon, we work with Nikon, love their products. And again, with us, we don't have, I guess the touch is with rifle and high-powered optics that a lot of your Western guys do. So we got to experience that. We talked with our Nikon representatives, and they'd recommended some things. And it was our first time using an MOA scope. So it really changed the way that I look at optics now. Again, we'll try to talk about something in the Midwest that most people can grasp, and that's coyote hunting, right?
Yep.
Most guys will hunt with 22, 250, 220, a rifle. And around here, 200, 300 yards, that's literally about it, unless you're in a really special spot. So, example being, all Grant and I's coyote gun, we have it sighted in, and then if it's a longer shot, we would just hold over, right? So, again, 300 yards usually, my 204 drops 4 inches. So it's not that bad. I built a 6.5 Creedmoor, and we topped it with a Nikon FX 1000. Sweet scope, and it's a great weapon system. But an MOA is actually a unit of measure, and you sight your gun in to be exactly dead on at 100 yards, and then you have clicks or MOAs for your fall. Now, so like Jeff shot his antelope at over 500 yards.
Wow.
Which is mind-blowing to us. Like, you talk to some guys that are living out west, like, it's every day,
That's
man.
a chip shot.
But for us Flatlanders, man, I mean, it's like
500 yards. You're like,
whoa.
is that a goat or a dog? I'm not really sure. You know what I mean?
So what I'm getting about is like the scope is different in the sense that you actually dial your crosshairs in rather than holding over. So at 300 yards, a coyote doesn't look that far in a scope, in a magnified scope. 4-inch holdover, not too bad. But at 500 yards, and you got, about a 5-mile-an-hour crosswind, and your bullet drops 40 inches, that's really hard to try to process that. Instead of with the scope, you dial up your MOAs, and then you hold your crosshairs straight too. And that clean sight picture, that ability to dial in your optics, hold steady and put it there made a big difference for all of us. Because we had a large variance of distances of shooting. Grant shot his about 300 yards. Mine was the closest one about 160. But, whatever it was, we dialed the scope in, settled, and shot. And it made a big difference.
And that's all based off the 100-yard sighting?
So, so with an MOA scope, you top it. You sight it in at 100 yards. Dead nuts. Then you'll actually remove your turrets and set it back to 0. So your gun is zeroed out at 100 yards, cutting holes. The proper way to do this then is you put out 100-yard targets, and you'll shoot a group of 5. We shot groups of 5, and we would measure down how far that bullet actually dropped with my gun and my barrel and everything. So you would have, like an example, I've got it memorized. My Creedmoor drops about 4 inches at 200 yards. So that's 2 MOAs, because every inch is 100 yards is 1 inch. At 200 yards, 1 MOA is 2 inches. At 300 yards, 1 MOA is 3 inches, and so on and so forth. So my gun drops 4.2 inches at 200 yards, so I would move my scope 2 MOAs, 2 times 2 is 4, and now my crosshairs are dialed in. So on and so forth. We shot our gun out to 500 yards, took physical measurements, and then calculated how much we had to convert that into an actual MOA drop. Sketched it right on the side of the buttstock, and we're good to go.
Okay, so once you do it and you figure out how much it drops, you can almost preset it at 200 yards. I need to be this
2.
clip.
Yep. This many clips.
Exactly.
At 300 yards, it's X clicks, and so on and so forth.
Nice.
It's math. Somebody really smart figured out this system, and it's foolproof. You can do it with any gun, any weight, any speed. It's always going to be consistent. But like I said, and 1 MOA is 1 inch at 100 yards, and then it carries on. So 1 MOA at 200 is 2 inches. 1 MOA at 300 is 3 inches, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's nice. Nikon made that so easy for simple-minded guys like
Right.
us.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. We talked about turkeys and out west. Let's get to the nitty-gritty, the stuff that I like, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So, you guys were insanely successful this year. I mean, every Instagram we'd be like, "Bam, Last Breath just dropped another buck."
Yeah,
I'm like, dang.
He'd be
man.
like, "Did you see the latest deer on Last Breath story?" I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
Again?"
Homie's like, "What? They just shot one 2 days ago." I'm like, "Yeah, man."
I'm like, I know they got 6 people, but you just can't hunt that much, can you? Really?
We were lucky. I mean, I guess we should have covered it. I'm going to say it right now. One thing that's unique about us is that, and I won't go into a big tangent, I promise.
Oh,
but
no, go
talking
ahead,
about
man.
Origin.
This is your show.
You've had Matt and Jesse on. Our company, our team, if you will, is 6 great friends. We don't hire cameramen. We don't, get somebody who's not, I don't want to say affiliated, just I guess a third party to film us. So we genuinely, like, when I hunt with Grant, I feel his six. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want it, and you turn to that person, and you want to give them a big bear hug when they get it done. So with us, and you're talking about the 6 of us. Oh my goodness, man! When we get a phone call in November, like we know, you know what I mean, and so on and so forth. So to get back to that, I kicked it off this year in October. Grant actually saw this deer the day before. We were hunting a farm, and we'd had trail camera pictures of him. We knew he was mature. Had him on the farm the year before. It's actually in the second year leasing this piece, but the farmer pretty much carved the way for us. And he opened up this field, and he left it open for a long time. And where we were hunting was in a pinch point that we thought we were going to hunt a little bit later. But given where he'd opened up the field and where this deer was bedding, Grant and I went in the day before. We put eyes on him and really almost killed him then. He came to about 90 yards. He was still with a couple younger bucks, so he wasn't being too receptive to calls. We didn't try too hard. And then that next day we had a good win. Grant actually had conferences. That's why you couldn't come.
Parent teacher conferences.
So Jeff came with me, and kind of almost identical the night before. We had a good cold weather system move. The barometer was dropping, and he got up early. I gave him 2 grunts, which all I did was mimic what he was doing. He came up and he gave out 2 grunts. There's a couple other does in the field and 1 small buck, and that's all it took. He marched right in, 35 yards, broadside, perfect. I mean, and he dies on film. He only went about 20 yards. So,
Wow.
It was my first time bow hunting, because we hunted that first weekend in October out in Colorado. So this is my first time with my bow in hand.
Wow.
And here I run in,
Yeah.
one of our target bucks. So
Can't beat that.
no. And
Start
then-
off with a home run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of threw me off when you said it was your first time hunting. I was like, I mean, we're already in the season here. It's already kind of going by.
Yep.
And then you're like, first time in the stand, and
I'd
I was
already done like
dude.
5 packing hunts on public at that time. Not even seeing a target buck. So
Yeah, that was pretty cool because usually, I mean, that first couple weeks in October, it's game on. We have a competition with the 6 of us every year. The last one to kill a doe has to take a bite out of the heart. So usually neither of us lose, knock on wood. But with that antelope trip, Matt and Jesse and Logan got a leg up on us. So they got to hunt opening weekend, whereas Jeff, Garrett, and I, opening weekend, we were in Colorado hunting antelope. And so we didn't get to go knock down doe. So it's like, so the night before, like Garrett talked about when we saw him, the night before, he and I went in there, and we were just looking to shoot a doe, and we saw him come out of an end row, and we knew with the wind, that was the best place to hunt, the best option. We weren't really expecting to see a buck, but he goes, there's 2 younger bucks that pop out of a finger, and you guys know, I mean, a vantage point is insane. The difference that 3 feet make is insane, because when these deer came out about 120 yards away, there was a little basket rack 8 and a spike. And Garrett was like, big buck. And I'm like, what?
He couldn't see him.
I couldn't see the third one. So I glass up. I'm like, dude, that is not a big buck. What are you looking at that I'm not? And he's like, it's right behind the 8-pointer. I'm like, what? There's nothing behind that 8-pointer, man. And finally he stepped out. I'm like, oh, son of a gun. Yeah, that's true. And so the buck we nicknamed Josh. The year before, we had him on trail camera. We called him the Short Tine 10. So we had a decent amount of history with him the year before, but we ended up calling him Josh because the night before Garrett killed him, I thought he was joshing with me, like, big buck, what? And I thought he was trying to pull one on me, you know? So that's, I guess, why we called him Josh, which is kind of a neat story in itself. But
Yeah.
that was pretty interesting how like quickly our season got off to a hot start this year, and just laying eyes on him, I think was why we ended up killing him. Laying eyes on him the night before, we knew where he was bedding via trail camera data, and we had a great wind for the following day. It was a significant drop in temperature, about 15-degree drop, and we knew, like, okay, you're right here, you're bedded, this is the wind. If you're walking into it, you're going to walk right by us. And, you know, that's what he did. And so just that visual cue of being able to see him, see where he's going the night before, I think ended up being his demise in the end. So that was pretty critical that we saw him that night. It was awesome the way it all unfolded.
Yeah, that is awesome. Like you said, naming him Josh, I think that's cool. I never used to name deer, and then homie was like, you got to start naming these deer because I can't, there's too many of them. I can't keep them. And now that I've named them, I got to name every one.
Oh, yeah.
Because then you get a connection with them.
Yep.
Just like the deadhead I was showing you before. Yep. Like, that was my baby. That was what. How many trail cam pictures do we have of him? I mean, we got a ton. And I was like, this is the one that's going to be another, 190 cruising around in a few more years. And
from velvet all the way up to gun season.
Yeah, he's just everywhere, and I was like,
and those are the deer that you get excited about because he's living here.
Yeah,
I can hold him and protect him.
Yeah, you're like,
you said
this
baby.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. This is the deer that I can hold for 2-3 years and really be like, okay, just hang out here. You got everything you want.
You're
safe, and then grow them to what you want. So
sure.
I got to name everything now, like you said, Josh. But then you shot Lucky, right?
Yep.
Oh,
and when that was the one that we were like, you rattled him in, right?
Oh, it was
unreal.
Harvesting a Lucky was 100% by design. It worked perfectly. I don't want to. This is Grant's deer, so I'm gonna let him tell the story of it. But I mean, everything down to where we hunted, why we hunted, when, what we did was scripted and preconceived to a T.
So it was October 20th. The 21st is when we killed him. He and I know we get a lot of flack for this and kind of made fun of sometimes for this, but he and I use the absolute crap out of mock, scrape, everything. So licking, branch rub, scents, everything that Code Blue sends us, we put in the field and we put out, and we get 8 or 10 big scrapes going. So if you want to talk about scrapes first, I think that's a big thing that we I think that's one of the main reasons that we're usually successful before the rut.
That's awesome. I want to cover that. Yeah,
due to the 3 kinds of scrapes and the distinctions between the 3 kinds, and that's something we've been able to kind of learn over the last few years. So, you want me to do community, and you can do the other 2?
Sure.
So a community scrape is essentially what we call, at least a community scrape, is a huge scrape. It's
there every year.
Yep, it's there almost every year. It could be 3 or 4 feet in diameter. It's massive. It doesn't necessarily have to have a licking branch on it, but it is a scrape that a doe visits, that a buck visits, whether it's mature or non-dominant, and every deer in that area is using that scrape to just say, hey, I'm here. This is like a social hub. This is like the bar at the corner that everybody goes to, pops in and says, what's up? So we always hang our trail cameras, set them to video mode on about the 10th of October, because at that point, we're starting to get scraping activity, especially very hard on those community scrapes. And then the other 2, you can go over those.
Right. And so like what Grant was saying, you know what we're talking about. It's that scrape that's there every year. Yeah. And it's not just that one buck that made it, because you've had those, right? You killed a buck, and then those scrapes are gone. Mm-hmm. This is that one that's there every single year. That's the community scrape. Another one that, and we've dubbed these terms, I mean, is a territory scrape. So this is a scrape that's made by a buck when his testosterone levels are increasing. He's starting to iron out his turf. You know, he's kind of making sure there's nobody else on his territory, so on and so forth. And these are going to be on the outskirts of your bedding areas. These are going to be on the outskirts of your rub lines. And you're going to see a higher frequency of a particular deer visiting these. And then lastly is what we call a dominant scrape. Now, these are the ones that sometimes you'll find, and you'll see deer make them. Like when you call to a deer or you see a deer with another buck in the field, he's strutting his stuff. His hair will stand back up on his neck, and he'll walk over. And when hunters find, this is the beginning of a scrape, you'll hang a camera and you'll never get any interest in it. Well, it typically is that buck is posturing up. He's trying to show his dominance. Yep. So he's walking over, beating up a tree, and he's scraped the ground for 2 minutes. It's not really signified, but it's there, right? So those are the 3 big scrapes. Well, what Grant was saying earlier, to kind of bring it all around, is we develop mock scrapes very early, typically that first week in October. So as soon as we came back from Colorado, I went out to the farm, and I knew where 2 community scrapes were going to be, so I already started them, beat the deer to them. And then I started to, we knew where some key bedding areas were on the farm. We designed another mock scrape in conjunction with some of these community scrapes. Well, Lucky picked up right where we left off. It was almost the next day he was there, and he started using them. And it was every single night from October 10th until when Grant killed his deer. This buck, Lucky, was in 3 of these scrapes that we had made. And I mean, it was like clockwork. Every single night he was there. Now, never a daylight picture. So this is kind of unique. Usually we wait for that daylight to occur or real close, and then we go after him. But we had that special storm system, that really, really early frost, that super hard frost in October. And that we figured if he's going to move early, it's going to be today. So
Yep. So on that community scrape and the territory scrape, when we call a territory scrape, that's kind of like a buck setting up his perimeter. So we knew where Lucky was bedded because of his proximity on our trail cameras to daylight. So he's in this strip of timber. It's about 15 acres big, and he was hitting the northern camera on our scrape line that we had made the earliest, and then following suit down. So we had 3 consecutive trail camera pictures of him almost every day, all in that order every single day. And so he would start from the north, work his way south, and then he would go back up north to kind of isolate his 15-acre little patch of timber that we were pinning him down in. So we knew that he was bedded in there, or bedded extremely close. So the October cold front rolled in. It was the morning of the 21st, and it was 27 degrees out that morning. So it went from being a daytime high of like mid-60s the day before, all the way down to mid-20s. So we were like, okay, we could get aggressive right now and roll the dice and see if it pays off. So there was a hard frost that morning. We bought Bucky, our decoy, in, and I think the other key to killing this deer was the mobility factor. So the day before, Garrett had went in, and like you said, with the flexibility of his work schedule, he was able to get out and move our mobile set. So we always have a quote-unquote mobile set of deer stands, something that's this is our floater set. If there's something that pops up, we're going to hang and hunt here. And so he moved our mobile set 120 yards, 150 yards to the south, overlooking where this community scrape was. So we snuck our decoy in, put him around the corner, and we just did our first rattling sequence really loudly, couple grunts right in the morning, right at first light. And we could hear him marching in through the dew, through the grass. And he walked in, came around the corner to 13 yards, posturing up to our decoy the whole time, went straight for it, and we arrowed him at 13 yards. And it's the cool, I guess the cool story about Lucky from a history standpoint was the following year, the reason why this deer's named Lucky is as a 5-year-old, we believe Lucky was the brother of the deer Garrett shot. So you guys were both at our launch party. The deer we named Slick. He was a deer of that caliber, like a really solid 10-pointer, and he almost looked dead nuts just like Slick did. So we thought, maybe these deer are twins. The reason we call him Lucky, though, is because he broke off his left side G2 the following year, and I had multiple opportunities to harvest him with a gun and almost one opportunity to harvest him with a bow. And we said, this deer's really lucky that he's not put together. Otherwise, we'd probably be harvesting him this year. So that's how he garnered the name Lucky. And then finally he blew up, put on a lot of antler, and we were able to harvest him as trail cameras. We believe a 5-year-old buck. So it was pretty cool the way it all went down, rattling that early and knowing the play and the drop in temperature and knowing that he was frequenting those straight lines and being able to be mobile and go kill him. I think that's what killed the deer. So it was pretty awesome to harvest him that early.
Sure. That same day we had what do you think Chaos is, like a 4.5 or 5.5? He's right around there, 4.5. We picked up the piece this year.
Sure.
And there's just this probably
real solid
mid 130s age, real solid, real heavy, really nice. And when we first got the trail cam picture, I drove my truck in there because we had to do a bunch of knocking down a bunch of tall grass to be able to get a shot at this deer where he was having. And with me being a dad and having a 3-year-old, right when we got there, it was hot, right? So he's like, "Oh, I'm hot." So I put him in my truck. I turn on. We got the air conditioner on, and homie's going through the trail cam pictures, and then my 3-year-old's in the truck just honking the horn, just and then the weed eater. We took a weed eater out there. I was like, "Oh, weed eater knocked this stuff down," and it was too thick, so it was knocking the string off, right? So it was just utter chaos. So homie's like, "Oh, we got this real solid buck, man," and so we named him Chaos.
Okay,
but. He daylighted that exact same day on a community scrape in the morning, heavy frost.
Yep.
What, 7:40 in the morning?
Yeah.
I mean, we killed. So yeah, I mean, it was it was perfect. That morning was deadly.
Yeah,
and not everybody capitalized on it because it's still kind of early, right? Some people were hem-hawing about going out, but
I think we actually took a vacation day that day, didn't we? But we hunted the other piece because I was like, we can't miss this. We can't miss this cold front.
Yeah, it was
and we
Saturday.
hunted. Yeah, we hunted the north corner stand, and we didn't see anything. We seen a couple small bucks and does, but then on the other cam, he daylighted at a set that you could tell that there was a scrape there the year before. I told homie, I said, "There's gonna be a scrape here," and then we ended up running a trail cam on it, and we didn't pull that cam for a month.
Yeah,
because we were focused on that, Mr. Freeze all year,
right?
And we didn't pull it for a month, and then he daylighted. Every cold front in the morning, he daylighted. So I feel like,
well, that's good, man.
I feel
Put that
like
in the
next
brain
year,
bank. Dude,
I feel like next year there's a cold front in the morning.
That's where you're going.
He's gonna be there, right?
Yep.
And that stands once he's outside of the timber, he's got to walk 45 yards to get to that scrape, and once he's outside of the timber, he's dead. Where he's coming out of, because it's it'd be a 8-yard shot.
Whoa.
Sure.
Well,
I mean, it's right there.
Yeah, I would say I think that morning he just come right under the stand.
Yeah, I think he came right under the stand,
Man.
right to that scrape. And then, like you said, it was a community scrape. We had 2 shooter bucks hit it.
And we had the tall 8.
Yeah, the tall 8, and then him. And then we had a bunch of small bucks. We got a piebald doe
That's
hitting
cool.
it. We got a bunch of pictures of her hitting it, and it was really good for a long time. And even late season there was deer hitting it, but not. And then we had a big snow, and it knocked down all the grass in that area, and the deer just vacated.
Yep.
But we're gonna put an acre of beans in there this year, and hopefully
nice
hold some stuff. And then put that wagon blind up there on the acre of beans. And
That's going to be sweet.
But yeah, I hope next season we're really keen on if there's a cold front early like that again. This deer was like daylighting like crazy. And then during the rut on that piece, it was like, if you were there, you could have shot a deer. And we were like, we weren't there. We didn't pull trail cameras for a month. We were like, we missed all this intel.
Yeah.
But yeah, those cold fronts early season, even if it is in the morning, when people were like, the people that are like, they know everything, right? Don't hunt in the morning in early, mid-October, early October.
Yep.
If there's a cold front, you got to hunt.
Well, and we, like, to get onto the story too, we hadn't hunted this deer a single time. This was the first time we went in to go kill Lucky. Like, we would tiptoe around to check the cameras to freshen our scrapes to make sure he was still using them. But, and we had pre-hung the stand, like Grant said. We had it in our mind he was going to come out of the south end of his bedding area, like his ritual was. But given what was coming, we made the I threw the mobile stand up. We made an adjustment, and we went in and hunted him. So
yeah, you guys did the right thing. So let's cover Tonto real quick.
Yep,
and then we'll wrap this up.
All right, so we'll speed through this because we're hitting that golden hour.
Yeah,
mark.
that golden hour.
Tano's a deer that Grant and I have history with. A 4.5-year-old last year made a hard pass on him actually the same day that I had killed Slick. We did not know much about this deer. He arrived on our farm as a 4-year-old. We're happy to take him, right? Come on. You want to come over, go for it. Right. So we wrote him off the book just because we again, you hypothesize these deer this age, gave him a pass, and he vanished. We didn't know if we made a good decision or a bad decision. Then October of this year, he started to show up on trail camera. He had kept some of his signature characteristics, a little cheater point on the outside, his hard-tipped G3 on the one side, and on his right side. And it was a deer that we immediately put on the hit list. So the season happened. Josh was harvested early, my buck. Then Grant shot Lucky. And at that point, when you're a buck ahead early, you're waiting on one of your top target
You feel real
deer.
good, right?
You're
like, I got one down. I'm waiting on a giant. I'm waiting on the buck I want. And that's how I normally am. I kill one early, and then I'm like, okay, I can just chill, It's nice.
Yep. So we actually had an opportunity at this deer in November. So you will understand, and some of the other listeners will, with an SLR camera, the lenses interchange. So we have an arsenal of lenses to give a different type of feel for a variety of reasons. Long story short, it was that snowy November morning.
Hate snow.
But it was beautiful.
Yeah.
We got in there super early. Deer were going crazy. We saw one of our other hit listers, Johnsonville, called him Johnsonville, big fat bratwurst tines, and we'd seen some other smaller deer, but the sun just started to peek through the trees. And we both looked at each other, and he's like, dude, I got to get some of this, right? So he's like, I'm going to change out the telephoto for the wide angle. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yep, go for it. So I'm out of position.
And it's like 10 o'clock at this point.
Right.
Just so everybody knows.
Right.
It's not like prime, first hour and a half of light. It's about 10 o'clock, so we're like at the point, it's in during the rut. So we're at the point where it's like, okay, things are slowing down a bit. We saw 40 deer within the first 2 hours of light, and we're like, okay, we haven't seen a deer in about an hour.
Everything's
it's time to get some B-roll.
Yeah.
Okay. Time to get some B-roll. So I flip on the wide angle, getting a bunch of B-roll.
Well, it wasn't even that yet.
Grant,
we weren't even there. I wish we would have been because we would have made it work. But I'm out of position, kind of like trying to help him. He's got the camera bag sprawled out on his lap. He's got the camera disassembled. And then all of a sudden we both look at the same time, and boom, here comes Tano pushing 2 does. And they're not running hard. He's just walking them, and he looks like a bulldozer coming through the timber. And we're like frozen, and the camera's literally it's not together, like no lens. And he's like,
no lens on,
and he's like holding the camera with one arm. He's like, Garrett, I can't move. I'm like, I know, it's at this point whatever.
And it's really quiet, and they're 13 yards, 15 yards away.
They weren't at first, but
the
they
does
got
were
right
really
there.
really I don't know, on pins and needles, and I'm like, Garrett, I'm in a really bad spot right now.
And, I mean, there's nothing he can do.
Really I can do.
So the does, they didn't bust out of there, but they did their little trot away, and of course he followed suit. But we had him dead to rights at like 20 yards, like right where we wanted him,
Yep.
And I just remember Grant's like, I want to throw this camera in the creek right now.
Yeah.
But so we had a great encounter with him. Unfortunately, nothing was recorded. First shotgun season comes. Great snow that we finally had, and I know you don't like snow. I love
Oh,
it.
I love snow. I just don't like filming in snow because I'm not smart enough to
Get the blue out.
get the blue
Yeah.
and the lighting and
Oh,
make
yeah.
it look legit. And then my lighting, like you gotta over adjust, and then the ISO's too high. I'm learning.
There you
Gotcha.
go, man.
Yeah, that's why I love hunting in the snow. I hate filming in the snow.
Oh yeah,
that's the
it
difference.
can be super harsh.
Yeah.
So it was opening
Kayla's
day.
birthday,
Yep.
the 29th.
Yep. So his girlfriend, which is my wife's sister, as funny as that is.
Solid move, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the best move ever. Yeah, we're going hunting. You girls hang out.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're hunters too, man.
Yeah.
They'll give
Yeah.
So anyway, Grant had a tough decision, and it was her birthday, so he drove up to see her and take her out, rightfully so. Of course, that yielded me by myself. Now, it's the only time that we'll self-film is when we're gun hunting out of a blind. And deer started pouring out. I was actually filming a 4-year-old that Grant and I both agreed he gets a pass no matter what, named Pretty Boy. He comes out, gives me a heart attack. I'm like filming him because he's like a 154-year-old. And I'm watching him. I look over to my right on the other side of the field. Here comes Tano, So most of the other deer were feeding in the field. He did nothing. He came in, he scent checked the first doe he ran into. He moved over to the next one, and I was just filming him at this point. And you're comfortable, but you're on edge, right? Because when do I take him? I want to get as much footage as possible. I just want him to show up and die.
Yep.
But then again, I don't want to miss an opportunity. So guns out the window, we're all ready, and it was about a 125-yard shot. And the Savage did a number, and Tano fell about 40 yards after the shot. So
Nice. Yeah, I was jacked when you got it done. That was first shotgun season, right?
yes, sir.
Yeah, I was like, man, they got it. I'm like, he's bucked out, man. He's just filming the rest of the year. I'm like, that's got to be a nice feeling. With us being just two guys, we said this year we're filming each other. You have to. It's just you can't self-film
That's
and
the way
bow
to do
hunt.
it.
It's just
It's
impossible.
hard.
So
It's tough.
so we decided this year, but I'm like, man, to be able to shoot a buck early and then be bucked out by shotgun now all late season, you can focus on one other guy. So that was nice. But yeah, I was jacked for you guys. You guys were dropping deer, and we follow your Instagram stories pretty heavy. So we're like, yeah, we're
Yeah.
Appreciate it,
we're
man.
jacked over here. I'm calling home. I'm like, you see that buck? And then when Matt dropped his,
Oh,
he didn't even
dude.
tell me. He just said, check your Instagram, man. I was like, oh my gosh. So-
That was the heads up. Check the Instagram.
yeah, he was like, just check. And then he just hung up. He's like, yeah, check your Instagram. I'm like, all right.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. This is going to be the first release of Last Breath. We went over a lot of stuff here, but if you want to get to they're professional guys, they're top quality, but you want to get to the fun side of Last Breath and the guys that they really are outside the film, and then some tactics that they're going to be using late season coming up to better their season for the following bow season. That's going to be the next episode, so don't miss that, guys. All right, this is the wrap-up of the first episode from Last Breath. What do you think, homie?
Man, these guys are top notch.
They're killers, aren't they?
Yeah.
Man, killing some
Killing it.
giants, antelope, turkeys. I mean, they got it going on.
I just want to be able to hunt like they do and get it done as soon as they do.
I know. I mean,
A plan with action.
yeah, I know. They got it planned out, and they're going in and strategically killing deer every year. That's saying something. And on high-quality footage, 2 guys, 2 scent, 2 access. I mean, that's a lot,
Yeah.
So,
We need to maybe do like a mobile set like that.
Yeah.
We need to do something like
yeah.
that. I guess what I got to do is just get a lone wolf.
Yeah,
Or
I
just have
got-
2 lone wolves
yeah.
running around.
Get that, just pack. I got the sticks and just pack it in and have it and sitting in the studio if we need to move around and hunt it up, we can make it happen.
Yep.
But I like that technique in there. They talk about having a mobile set. That's a really good idea.
I could get a saddle.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm not getting
Filming out of saddle.
Never get a saddle.
Solid. All right, guys, get out there, find some sheds, try to leave a legacy, and Whitetail Legacy's out.